and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salva and today we have a book review for big old Marvel fans. This should be a treat. It is the Black Widow novel. Oh, we've been waiting for this for so long. We might not have a movie, but we sure as heck have a book, and an amazing one at that. So let's talk about it right away, because we have a lot of feels about this. Awesome book, but a disclaimer, just so you won't go into this with false expectations. This is not a book about Black Widow's past. This is a book that mentions Black Widow's past, but it does not take place in the past. It does not include a young Natasha Romanoff, and she is a character in the book. She is one of 3 main characters. So it's not wholly about her. It's not about her youth. I just wanted to put that there in case you came into this thinking it was going to be a prequel. A brief summary of the novel. So the prologue, Natasha is rescuing this young girl from a bad guy, and then flash forward 8 years, and this little girl is now a grown-up teenager, and she gets thrown back in to this world of spies and Avengers, and then they sort of team up, and then adventure. There's a lot of action. I thought the battle scenes were very well executed. The book as a whole has this perfect mix of campiness, sort of almost cartoon vibe to it, and reality. It's like what the Avengers are, you know? It's kind of grounded in reality, and at the same time there's this suspension of disbelief that you sort of have fun with because you know it's not real. Also, Margaret Stohl just nailed Natasha's voice spot on, man. Granted, I haven't read the comics, but as someone who was a big fan of the Avengers and the Marvel TV shows, I thought that she nailed Natasha's voice. I could so imagine Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of Natasha saying what the book Natasha was saying, and it just melded. One of my biggest fears was that it would seem like fan fiction. I have just gotta hand it to the author, because that can't be easy to sort of tread the line of we have to follow this main popular franchise and we have to go where their story is, at the same time make it your own, and sort of having to achieve that balance of it's canon, but it's my own story. I'm loving how much of the movies was included. Coulson is there, he plays a semi-important part in the book, and Maria Hill was mentioned, and some other people that I'll get to for the spoilery section. I don't want to spoil who shows up, but important people do show up, but I don't want to say who in the non-spoilery section because I was just taken aback that this person was in it, so I want to save it for the spoiler section. There's a part that was so Avengers, I couldn't even. I don't know if you guys have watched this year's Ant-Man, but there was a part where they were like, you know, Avengers, all they do is try to save the world, and sure they save the world, but what about all this destruction they leave in their wake? So they're on the run from the bad guys, and they're in a marketplace, and Natasha's like, I need to find a diversion. So she sets fire to the marketplace. Okay, you're on the way to save the world, I get it, but those poor people, I mean, that was probably their main source of income, and it was so reminiscent of the Avengers movies when they're like, yes, let's level a building, yes, let's break all of these things. So this is not technically a spoiler for the book, it is a spoiler for the Avengers sequel, The Age of Ultron. So if you haven't watched that, just sort of mute the next 20 seconds and then come back, we got more to talk about. Reading about her backstory and sort of understanding who she was as a secret agent and how much training she went through, it made me realize that maybe Bruce Banner was the right guy for her. They didn't ask to be made this way, but somehow they are, and they're just trying to deal with it. While I was watching Age of Ultron, I was not a fan of Bruce and Natasha because Clintasha forever. I kind of understand them now, and maybe they're kind of meant to be together, so I'm getting on board that ship thanks to this book. This is the spoilery section of my review. If you haven't read the book, hint hint, you really should. Leave now if you don't want to be spoiled on this kind of awesome book, and it's kind of Marvel canon, so if you don't want to be spoiled on anything Marvel, then leave now. Iron Man is in this book! Yeah! He makes an appearance! He explains the major problem to us! I'm so happy Iron Man was in this novel! He makes me happy, and I was so glad he was there, and I loved the rapport he built up with the kids, with Ava and Alex. I also like how they sort of imply that Natasha and Pepper have this BFF thing going on. Pepper didn't show up in person in the book, but she was mentioned quite a lot, and there's a part where Tony was like, gotta go, it's late night, and you're like, hee pepperoni! The reason why Ava and Alex left S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters and went on their own to Odessa was a bit contrived. Like, I get that she wanted to be free and she didn't want to go back to 7B. The entire S.H.I.E.L.D. can't take down Ivan, so let's you and me, two teenagers, fly to Odessa ourselves. We can take him. Like, flawed logic. For the biggest plot twist in the book, I didn't see it coming, but once I did know about it, like when they said Natasha and Alexei are siblings, I kind of knew deep down that Alexei was gonna die. Thinking about this not as a book, but as part of this huge franchise, you can't throw in a wrench such as Natasha having a sibling and have him live to tell the tale. Sooner or later, if he lived, people are gonna ask questions. The entire canon could fall apart because you've got two conflicting opinions, so that part was really sad. I'm glad that Natasha had a bit of family for as long as she did, and now you would understand if she never talks about it because she's probably still too choked up about it. So in the movies, if she doesn't mention that she had a brother, she'd be like, well, she probably doesn't want to talk about it, she's still in mourning. So it kind of makes sense this way, it makes sense. And that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!